Yay, I think we're here. Welcome to Heal Profoundly and Enduringly, friends. So excited to see you for another episode. For those of you who have not joined me for Heal Profoundly and Enduringly, this is a show that I do every week, and I bring on lots of fabulous humans to add resources and tools to your toolbox so that you can really empower yourself to heal on your own time, in your own space, in your own way. And I love this too, because so many people have trouble connecting with that person that they really feel good about and feel connected to and open and vulnerable with. And so I love that you have the opportunity to get to know somebody a little bit and kind of see who you resonate with so that you can make those connections. And today I'm so excited because Meredith is here. Yay! And I'll tell you all about Meredith. We went to grad school together, and it's so exciting to be doing this in kind of a different format than we originally thought when we went to grad school, right? Things have changed so much for both of us. And so I'm excited to dive into that. Let me just open this up on my phone.
Sure.
So Meredith is a licensed clinical social worker as well, and operates a 5-person private practice in Red Bank, New Jersey, because she's a badass. And I added that part into her bio. And Meredith specializes in treating those with eating disorders. She's also comprehensively trained in DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, for those who don't know. In addition, she's a certified Carolyn Costin certified eating disorder coach and a certified intuitive eating counselor. She runs an ED coaching business, and her memoir, Opening the Door, My Personal Journey with Anorexia Recovery, is being published by Kohler Books in July 2022. I'm so excited for you. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you. I'm very excited. Very excited.
Oh, it's so fun. How long have you been writing?
Yes, I've been writing for years, I would have to say. So it's taken me about, I guess, 5 years to kind of complete the whole thing. And it's been quite a journey with a lot of twists and turns. But my hope is to be able to get a book out there, first of all, to just show like the real, raw, authentic life of having an eating disorder, just to really put it out there, but also then to show people that full recovery is possible, which I didn't know when I had an eating disorder at age 13. I did not know that was possible. I assumed that I'd be living with it my whole life. And now I am a woman, a strong woman without an eating disorder, and I'm able to turn my passion into helping other people. So I wanted to make sure I could get my message out there for other people who are struggling, which about 30 million people a year. And so, as we know or don't know, that eating disorders have the second highest mortality rate of any mental illness, and only second to opioid addiction. And so it is serious. And so I think we really need to get a lot of words out there and be able to help prevent them and to help people and give access to treatment.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I closed my traditional therapy practice, there was honestly, I went through a whole year of grief and guilt around closing that, because I was the only one in the area that specialized in eating disorders. And it was terrible because people would come to me all the time and I'd be full, but I'm like, I'm going to take you anyway, because there's nobody for you to see. Like, they have to drive an hour and a half, to see somebody or whatever it was. And it's hard because the resources can be difficult for people to find. So I love that you're vocal about this.
Yes. So I'm on my soapbox trying to help people and, doing my best. I have a colleague who kind of went under my wing and trained in eating disorders. So she's able to help those, which is wonderful. And then I started my coaching business just for that reason, that I could see people all around the world, which really just expands the opportunity to help people. I have one coaching client who lives in Guatemala, and it's just so amazing to be able to extend services so far, across the border and be able to help people. So that's one of the reasons I started it. Yeah.
I know, we get to have a bigger impact. That's what's so cool.
Absolutely.
Like, why not extend our impact, right? And make it wider, make the reach wider. So also with writing the book, it's so funny because this is what I've noticed. I started writing my own book, and I'm writing a book on holistic mental health. That's a collaboration this year, but separate to that, I just started my own book, and it just on starting from when I got sepsis and, was really, really gravely ill. And, I'll tell you, it's a healing process in itself to write your own story.
I have aha moments as I write the book. I, write a few chapters and then I say, oh, the light bulb. I mean, it's amazing what you'll learn on the journey.
Yeah.
And it's really healing. It's hard and it's healing, but it's a beautiful process.
Yeah.
I ended up going to a writing studio in town, which is wonderful, called Project Right Now. And I went to a few memoir writing classes, and that really kind of got me started on my journey. It was really helpful to like share some of my work and have like a quiet place each week to go and focus on my writing. And then I just kind of took off with it.
I love writing. It just
Yeah,
makes me so happy.
It makes me so happy too. I mean, really. Yes.
I know.
So,
it's like where everything comes from for me.
Mm-hmm,
like all the ahas, all the depth. Oh, it's
Yes.
just so yummy. So, okay. I'm going to ask you I could talk to you all day, so I'm going to keep us focused here.
Sure.
So what is the one thing that you think is the most necessary for people to heal profoundly and enduringly? So we're not just looking at a Band-Aid approach here. Like, what is that one thing that you would suggest?
I mean, I could name so many things, but personally for me it was in recovery to actually feel my feelings. And when I say that is that from a very young age, I was an anxious type A personality. I came out the womb like that. Yeah, you too? Yeah. So I was a nervous wreck as a little girl, had no idea it was anxiety. And from a very young age, I started to disassociate and didn't really realize that until I was much, much older. And so part of my healing was being able to recognize that I was pushing my feelings so far down, they didn't even exist, and be able to really recognize that, okay, I am doing all of these things to not feel my feelings. I was looking for numbness. If anything could anesthetize me, I was there, right? So if it was restricting or binging or purging, over exercising, alcohol use, as well as, which I always say, and I have a whole chapter about it, is like getting my to-do list done. My whole life was just doing, scratching things off the list. And that's where I felt my worthiness and my productivity. Yeah. And I was in such doing mind that I never stopped to be, to feel, to take a break, to pause. And so I think, in my feeling my feelings journey, I mean, first off, I needed to slow down. I mean, I was the type of person, Laura, who wouldn't take my keys out of the car when I got out of the car. I would leave it running. I would run out so fast to get out of the car. I'm the type of person I always laugh, but when the Keurig says descale me, I say, oh, I'll just get another one. I just
yeah.
I'm just so I think really what I learned through the years is that I was very kind of scared about the present. So for me, I pinballed back from the past to future, and that just felt safer. I would beat myself up for what I did, and then I'd be extremely nervous about what was to come. And for me, practicing being in the moment and really using the skills of mindfulness. I call some of my moments God conscious moments, when you're just put into a situation you have no idea that it's going to change your life. In my first master's degree for allied health studies, I was randomly placed at the borderline personality disorder unit, and I had to teach dialectical behavior therapy. Now, I did not know what borderline personality disorder was at the time, because diagnosis class was the second semester, and I didn't know what DBT was. And so I, like a type A good student, got out the book, read everything, learned the skills, and I was like, oh, my job is just to teach, never recognizing how amazingly transformational those skills would make my own life. And now I'm also to help other people. So when I think of feeling my feelings, part of it is slowing down, taking a break, pausing. I kind of call it the glorious lull. When I have a thought before I have to act, and then I realize I don't even have to act sometimes if it's not going to be effective. So once I was able to eventually eliminate a lot of my self-destructive tendencies, that's when I was able to really start to slow down. I needed to ground myself in the moment, because I so quickly could disconnect from reality. It was just a flip of the switch that I just wouldn't be in a room. And so for me, practicing grounding skills is really important to bring me into the moment. And then I had no idea what I was feeling. I had pushed my feelings down for so long. I did not know. So when some therapist after therapist would say, well, what do you feel? And I was like, I have no idea. I don't know.
Right.
Really, I had no clue. And I also was so worried that I had this myth that I thought that people needed to like approve of my feelings, or I needed to get permission to have my feelings, or I felt too much or too little. And I just kept on pushing them down because that was the easier thing to do, or the safer thing to do at the moment. And what I started to do is connect and attune to my body, which is something that I was trying to escape from for the majority of my life. I was diagnosed with anorexia at age 13 and went through treatment off and on. And then at age 35, I left my job. I went on disability and went into a full partial hospitalization program in New York City to get help, to finally say, enough's enough. I need help. And so within that experience, I was really able to give treatment like a real go and focus all on that, and be able to say, okay, what does my body feel like? You know, do I feel hot? Do I feel cold? Is my heart pumping? You know, am I sweating? And is my, you know, am I just, you know, all these different feelings? I would say, what am I feeling? And then to be able to eventually, with time, start to put names on my feelings. Right. So when I was a young girl, you know, I didn't think it was okay to have anger or express anger. And so for me, I was angry about so many things. And so I was able to express that and finally put names onto my emotions. Then the next step really for me was to then validate them. Like to validate my own feelings and say, it is absolutely understandable that you are having these emotions in this situation. Totally validate them. Then I practice not judging them, because I've learned one of my magic moments in my book is that judgment destroys peace. That is what I have found in my life. And I was a very judgmental person to other people, but really towards myself. I was my biggest internal bully. Right? I really, really critical of myself. Even when I was doing well, I would just beat myself up. And so if I had a feeling, I'd be like, oh, that's stupid. Don't feel that. Or that's too much. Or, oh, you're just being dramatic, and all of these things. And so learning to not judge my feelings and absolutely accept them is so important. And then eventually, this is really the hardest part with feeling your feelings, to then express them when it's necessary and effective. My eating disorder silenced my voice. I didn't have one. I went along with what other people wanted me to do. I was people pleaser, you know, always wanted to make sure everyone was happy. I avoided confrontation with anything I was in doing that, because it was for me, I just didn't want to rock the boat. And so for me, eventually feeling my feelings gave me the ability to find my voice again. And now I use it to be able to share things and to set boundaries and to say no and to say yes to life. I mean, all really wonderful things. So I think for me, profounding, healing, enduringly is feeling my feelings without judgment. And that was really one of my main things that helped me in my full recovery.
Yeah. I love that so much, because, you know, you're bringing forward the concept of safety too, you know, like I love how you brought forward grounding right away, because that's so important for sure. And I think that people being present with themselves and really sitting in silence with who they actually are can be very daunting for a couple of reasons. One, it's like, well, what the hell am I going to uncover that I then have to deal with, is number one. But the other piece is like, I don't even know what's there. Like, I don't even know how to access that. Like, I don't even know how, like you said, that numbness and that feeling of like, I don't know what I'm feeling. Like, I don't even know where to begin with that. It's like emotions 101. Right. And so I love that you go to the body for that, right? Because that's where our body can start communicating, because of course we have sensations within our bodies, you know, whether it's pain, whether it's hunger, whether it's heat or temperature, like you were talking about. Right. And when we start to just connect with sensation, you know, it starts to awaken some of that awareness within ourselves, and we can start to get to know ourselves a little bit better.
Sure, absolutely. And I think for so many years, I ignored my hunger and my fullness. And so part of my recovery was being able to attune to my body and to be able to recognize, what does that feel like to me? I mean, for some, yes, it's a growling stomach. For me, it was, I felt irritable and I had a headache and I started really fatigued and tired. And I was like, okay, like I'm learning that my body gets hungry and I need to feed it and nourish it. And that was so important because for so many years with the eating disorder, I used external rules and external guidelines for my life. I never tapped into like, what do I want to do right now? I'd be like,
Right.
oh, I have to go to the gym. Oh, I can't eat that. Oh, I have to do that. And so finding myself, which is another big chapter in my book, is really being able to say like, well, first off, I have to step back a few butts. In terms of me finding my identity, one of the major things was for me to make my own decisions. I was the most or extremely indecisive person. I would make a choice, but I would ruminate it for days. Then someone would have a judgment about it. Then I would change my decision. Then I would be guilty that I'm not pleasing everybody. Then I'm disappointing people. Then I would doubt myself. And it was this endless cycle. Yeah. And so for me in my journey, after I was able to eliminate behaviors and be weight restored and be nourished and have my cognitive function back, I was able to be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to make my own decisions and it's okay if I don't make the right ones because I'm going to learn from those decisions, right? I'm going to make my own decisions and I'm going to be able to recognize and I have the strength to deal with the consequences, whatever they may be. Right? Because everything had to be perfect, but perfection doesn't exist. And so it's this false sense of control and perfection that you're driving to, but you never find it. So much of for me is to be able to, attune to my body, which was the opposite of what I did for basically my, 25 years of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it takes so much courage to spend that time with yourself and to look within and to really understand how you're meant to really operate, right? It's like, okay, this is how I might want to do things, but what am I meant for? And I think that so much of the time we have that subconscious tape playing in the background and we might think that we're fine. We think that go is taking us to success and is keeping us moving and is keeping us going. But ultimately we're skating on the surface of life.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
My life is so superficial. I guess that's like a really good word to say it. And within doing my deep work and in recovery, I feel so connected to the earth. I feel connected to myself and I feel connected to others. Something I did not have, and I really believe that every day I wake up, sometimes I feel like I'm an imposter in my life because my life is so different. It is waking up in a brand new life in full recovery and being able to feel my feelings and connect with other people and not worry about all the stuff I used to worry about. Just let that stuff go. I mean, it's going to get done eventually, but that's not what's important. The experiences are important, to be there for the moments, to feel the feelings, to feel the love, to feel the grief, feel all the feelings and not judge them.
Yeah. And I love that concept of when you create your own rules and you decide, no, I'm not going to just follow these automatic rules of my subconscious mind or society or other people anymore. You also become really clear on what you value. And when you take that time to say, okay, like these are my core values. Am I living in accordance with these? Does my life reflect what I really stand for? And like you said, you talked about a soapbox earlier. Like if you were to get on your soapbox at that point, what would you have talked about? And does your life and your actions and your choices and the way that you treat yourself and others reflect that? And the thing is that we're human beings. We all run into times when we feel like, oh shit, I am not fully like in alignment with that. Right. And, but it's just that process of refinement without judging ourselves and just being able to say like, okay, Laura Mazzotta, you were just a little off there for a second. Let's just tweak this and then you'll be right. You know what I mean? And like not being hard on myself about it because I was my own worst critic too, And when we judge other people, that's exactly what it is. It's just a projection of how we feel about ourselves.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And so it's so nice to be able to then, not only are you setting new rules for yourself for who you want to become, but you're getting very, very clear on your foundation, like your values, what you believe in, what you stand for. And that's something you can always fall back into for safety.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I love the part in DBT when we talk about, our values and are you living a value aligned life, and being able to really identify, because as a child, based on my personality and some other things in my life, I fell into these roles that I just assumed I had to be. So I was the, straight A student. I was the health nut. I was all these things. And I was like, I don't want to be like, I don't even want to be those things. Like, and so it's like creating a new identity is to say, I used to go to school and memorize and regurgitate it back onto a sheet to get an A. Now I take trainings and I listen and I really bring myself into it and use it in my life. It's such a different way that I'm able to have knowledge. And it's just something that I was not able to have in my younger life. And now I'm able to experience now because, learning things are extremely important to me. And I don't have to compare myself to the next person. Right. One of the things I was so proud of, I was in a yoga class one time and the teacher's like, and we could do a sun salutation, but if you'd like to lay down on your mat. And I was like, oh, I think I'm going to lay down on my mat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the, I couldn't believe I wasn't doing another sun salutation. And then I'm like, I am not comparing myself to the yogi next to me. This is my life, And so I think all of those things, just shift and to step back and say, what is my identity? What is my authentic self? And while some of it's probably buried under there from a little girl, sure, I want to take some of those things, but also I'm a different person. And to really be able to find joy and excitement in those new things and bring it into my life.
That is so beautiful. And I love that parallel even to chronic illness, with what I've been dealing with the last 6 years too, because it's like, at the beginning, there were so many times that I would start to feel a little better. And then I would feel really sick again. I would start to feel a little better and then I couldn't get up again. And I'd be like, what am I doing wrong? Like, where am I not taking care of myself? Where am I missing the mark here? And I learned over time that it had nothing to do with me doing anything wrong. It was about me taking what I was already doing and deepening my practices. So it's just like you're talking about, right? It's like, I start to not feel well. And instead of like, okay, am I not meditating enough? Am I not doing this enough? Am I not doing that enough? Instead, it's like, oh, yay, I'm actually being called to immerse myself at a deeper level of intimacy with the practices I'm already doing. And how cool is it that I get to keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper into that connection with myself, which, as you said, it enhances your connection with other people. And even the trainings that you're doing and the information that you love to gather, like you're even allowing yourself to be more present and getting more intimate with what you're integrating, rather than just, okay, I'm checking this off my list because I have to, because I'm desperate to feel better. You know what I mean?
Desperate to feel productive, desperate to feel worthy. And, my productivity does not equal my worthiness. And so that is able to be a huge shift. I mean, I always laugh and I said, I really would love to meet the person who created the Post-it, because it's amazing. Come on. It's the Post-it. It's amazing. However, when your day is, ruminating about putting a black line over a word, it backfires. Believe me, it backfires. And so I think it's just about being able to step back, ground, attune to myself, my feelings, my body, and saying, okay, how do I want my life to unfold today? And it just has, radically shifted my life. And I think when we talk about just connection, I'll just take from that, because I know when I was really ill at age 35, I did not want to get help. And the reason I did go into treatment, or one of the reasons, was because I had 2 beautiful nephews at the time. Now I have 4. They are seriously, they have shown me what unconditional love is. I could cry just thinking about them, because they are so important to me. And so for me to be alive, to be their aunt and be able to connect with them, it was so powerful. That's what started my journey. Now, along the way, there was like, okay, I want my own family, and I want to be able to, connect with people, and I want to feel joy and all these wonderful things. But for them, it was a relationship. It was something to say, okay, you're worth fighting for until I'm worth fighting for, which eventually I was.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that just gives me chills. It's so true. It's so true. Because that's what I say too. Like I attribute having the kids to helping in my recovery so much, because I would have been so depressed. And there were times that I was, trust me, you know, when I couldn't walk for a couple of years, but you know, there were like, they made me get my ass up, you know, like, mommy, I need a drink. Mommy, I need to cut my food, you know, whatever it is. And I'd be like, okay, like I gotta muster whatever I can, you know? And, it's that survival instinct. It's that survival strategy that's natural within us. And it's tapping into that, you know. It's funny because one of my favorite songs, it's a spiritual song, but it's about like, finding the breath within you, and like the fact that we all have that breath within us, and like roar like a lion with the breath within you, you know. I mean, it's like the silliest little analogy, but I love that, because it's like, yes, take that courage, take that. You always have breath within you. You always have life force within you, and you can just access that and use it, even if you're laying down and you can't move, you know, to speak your truth, to do a breathwork practice, whatever it happens to be, you know? So I love that. And so I know that you wanted to give us a little bit of a tool here that people can use forward. So what is one thing that you would like to share with us that people can?
Sure. I mean, one of the things that I use every day in my life, it's preventative. And then also when I'm feeling some anxiety or nervousness or worry, which I tend to get still, I'm able to recognize that. And then what I do is I do paced breathing, which is really, really helpful. Paced breathing is just a breathing pattern of when you breathe in and you breathe out longer than you breathe in. So usually what I do is I breathe in for 4 counts, if that feels comfortable to people. And then I breathe out 6 counts, and I do that 5 times. And I do that throughout my day. And it's a centering exercise. It's a grounding exercise. Sometimes I even go into the shower and do it with a hot shower, because it's just more sensation and warmth and safety. And it's something that really helps me each day. So I would gladly be able to run us through, or just tell you what that is. I don't know what you would like me to do.
Yeah, let's run it through for a minute. I could use a couple deep breaths.
Absolutely. Okay.
Let's do it.
So what I like to tell people is put both feet firmly on the ground. Okay. Be able to put your hands on your hips with your hands out, willing hands. We're embracing and bringing in the breath. I tend to close my eyes. You can keep your eyes open or closed, and take a deep breath in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, breathe in. And breathe out. All the stale air, just get it out. And again, breathe in. And exhale out. Possibly notice your shoulders dropping. Notice any tension in your body. Kind of let that go. And we'll take one more deep breath in. 4, 3, 2, 1. And out. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And before you open your eyes, maybe just sit here for a moment, observing your breath, and identify one affirmation for you to follow today. For me, it is okay to not be okay. So I'm going to take that with me for the rest of the day. And I join you to identify some type of positive affirmation to bring with you.
Mine is I am vital.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah, I love that. So all of that really, really helps. I mean, I have to say, like, DBT has been something that has changed my life, and learning all about mindfulness and observing and describing without judgment and noticing, because I missed the noticing. I just jumped to the doing, and usually it was not particularly effective. It was this impulsivity in me, and I felt I'm not able to sit with that. And then, what I learned is I can feel my feelings. I can, as we say, surf the waves. Our feelings will ebb and flow. It will eventually come down. There are times you feel different, and all of those things really, really help me.
Awesome.
So instead of running from my feelings now, I feel them. And so I feel the pleasant ones and the unpleasant ones. And I don't judge any of them, and I know they're communicating with me. So if I wake up of a day and I'm feeling sad, I feel sad and I stay with it. There's a reason, and I listen to myself. I don't need to push it away. I can feel it.
Yeah. And I love that you're bringing this forward on Valentine's Day, right? Because it's this opportunity for you to take a moment today to love yourself in that way. One of the best things we can do to love ourselves is just to witness ourselves in the moment as we are, as we're showing up, like I was telling people that on Friday, I was like in the crappiest mood, and I never have days like that anymore. And I was like, whoa, and as soon as your mind starts to go into analysis around where did this come from? What is this about? WTF, it was just like, whatever. I know it's going to pass because it's an emotion. It's going to pass through me. I'm going to hold space for it. And you know what? Maybe I just need extra love and holding today. And it's not something I have to know the answer to as to why. I'm just going to do it because I love myself, and just be present with myself. And so I love that you brought that forward, because I think that some people do have trouble on Valentine's Day, and it's really all about us turning towards ourselves and holding that space for ourselves and cultivating patience, for just holding whatever comes up. So thank you so much for bringing this forward and raising awareness about this absolutely critical, unfortunately, illness that plagues so many people, but it's here for a reason, and it's communicating to us, and we just need to listen in a different way and to learn how to listen to ourselves in a new way. And so anybody who is looking to do that, you guys can connect with Meredith. We're going to drop some links here to connect on her social media, or you can shoot her an email.
Absolutely.
But as I always say at the end of the show, just make the connection. Like if there's anything about this conversation that just feels resonant to you, or feels like, oh my gosh, I feel validated, or that makes so much sense, just start a conversation. And you never know where it's going to go. Even if it's just a couple of minutes of connection and intimacy with another human being, that's going to give you some love on your path,
Absolutely.
So, thank you so much for being here, Meredith. I love
Welcome,
this.
Laura. This is such a beautiful day. I'm so happy I was able to be here with you. I will come back whenever, and we have to go get a cup of coffee because I can't wait to catch up. And just a beautiful day, a loving day, and I send all my love to you and your family.
Thank you. You too, so much. All right, friends. So I will see you next week on Heal Profoundly and Enduringly for another episode to add some tools to your toolbox. Have a beautiful Valentine's Day. Mwah! I love you guys. Bye.